that me a feel. One round a front and two in a the back and out asylum where we. Second on this better be a rat tune a drop and you will crowd a ball out.
It's 100.5 The Vibe, the soul of the seven cities. Pull up on your main man, Tone Hollywood, and the pull-up game is crazy strong today. I have someone who I consider a friend, but I'm just so proud of her. She does so many great things here in Norfolk and just in the 757 period that I was like, you got to come on my show to talk about some of the stuff you got going on. Because if you're going to go on anybody else's show, I may have to cut you off. Sis might get cut off. But I'm so glad that she's here. You recognize her. You've seen her doing so many great things in the area, and you're just being a part of the great things that the community has involved. Please give it up for Tonya Fentress in the building. Tonya! From the Slover Library. How you doing, my friend?
How are you? How are you, Tone? Thanks so much for having me.
Of course.
We always want to make sure that we are representing the small business community.
There we go.
And that's why I am here representing the Hendrix Business Center at the Slover today.
Awesome.
City of Norfolk.
So we I'm always like take it back. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm gonna take it back because our paths have crossed for years.
Yeah.
When we didn't know each other, decades. So I'm gonna take it back. And I'm gonna just remember if you remember buying CDs at DJs, you know what I'm saying, music and tapes, right? Records and tapes over there when it was on top. Has it always been on Tidewater?
3234 Tidewater Drive. How do I still remember that?
Of course.
After 40 years.
40 years. How long were you actually there?
I actually worked at DJs from 1986 to 1996.
Wow.
Again, I worked there for 10 years. So during the pivotal time of hip hop. I grew up with hip hop.
Yes.
Grew up with hip hop.
This is part of the era. I'm sorry to show my age, but I don't care. You're part of the era of like, I felt like you couldn't work there unless you knew something about music. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Absolutely.
knew eventually got away from that because you got to have employees in there. But I felt like when you went there back in those times and you asked somebody about an album coming out, they not only knew when the album was coming out, they knew what songs you was looking for. They knew, you know what I'm saying, what you could whistle the song like, yep, I know what it is. I'll be right back. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
You came from that era and working there. How'd you get started over there?
Well, my dad was a very good customer of DJs and the owner. Shout out to Larry Bolin, my foundation of who I learned a lot of my business acumen from and learned how to serve the public. But my dad was a wannabe DJ.
There we go.
My dad actually always loved music, and he used to go there with regularity. And of course, I would always accompany him to the music store. And it was one of those things that they had a help wanted sign. And I asked, hey, can I get a job here? And I filled out the application. And this was during the time when they actually called your parents.
Oh, they
called your
that
parents.
Was the reference. Yep.
My great-grandmother actually answered the phone when the person called and asked about me and what kind of teenager that I was. And lo and behold, of course, I got the job, right? Because I was a responsible teenager.
Right.
So that's the story of how I got started at DJs. And back then, we actually had music books that we were referenced, just like encyclopedias.
Right.
And during the intervals of not having customers, we would actually read those books and anthologies of who, what, when, and where. So we would quiz each other on who started XYZ song, when did James Brown perform? When did the Commodores come out? When is who are the members of Earth, Wind, and Fire? We would actually do that with each other. And to be able to understand where the original music originated from and who they were. So yes, you had to be very versed in the music world to be able to work at DJs and be one of the family, if that makes sense.
It definitely does. And so all that just for the have a better experience with the clients or people that come in there. That commitment is very rare in a lot of things nowadays.
Absolutely.
But like I said, I remember, we can talk about all day, but I remember specifically telling you the story, or many times, even the one in Hampton, the DJs there when it was in Hampton, it was right across the street from one of my best friends, Cammie, that lived there. And I remember going there and thinking of a song and just saying, like, I heard the song on the radio. How many times you heard that?
Right.
I heard the song on the radio. I don't know if it's so-and-so, and they would know exactly what it is. Or they would hand me the sheet that tell me when certain albums or CDs were coming out on
Yes.
certain days. So that gave me the confidence, like they know what they're talking about.
Yes.
If anybody knows what I'm talking about, they know what I'm talking about.
We had to. It's just like any other profession. It was our profession to know. And if that wasn't your particular genre, just like any job, everyone had a genre that they loved.
Right.
So it was, so many people who were into jazz, who was into house music, who was into punk, who was into metal, who was into hip hop. And, I could just, man, this just brings back vibes. 100% vibe, right?
Being the keyword there.
Yeah, it brings back those vibes of how everybody had their niche and everybody poured into each other about what was hot and what was not, and who were the long standers and who were, the people who were going to be a superstar. We could actually pinpoint when people were going to be superstars back then. And that's exciting. That's exciting.
What's also exciting, I love it when you put some of your throwback pictures up. I know you have an amazing one with Ice Cube and Eazy-E.
I do.
What was going on that day? Were they doing an in-store or?
They were doing an in-store. In-stores were it. When you went on tour, you went to the radio station, of course, and you came by the hottest music store in our area. And that picture that I put up of me and Eazy-E was when Straight Outta Compton came out in 1986. Wow. You talking about a parking lot full of people. Man, we had to close the doors.
I can imagine.
It was so many people, such a nostalgic moment. And it was a guy named Ron who did actually the marketing for us. And I'm sure his daughter may have quite a bit of video in her archive. She now lives in the state of Washington.
Okay.
And sometimes I chat with her about pictures that she has. But the owner, Larry, and his son still have quite a few pictures of us in video when video first came out to be a big thing. I remember them recording Boys to Men. They actually sang for us. They did. So, you're talking about, we met all of these stars when they were just starting out. Jay-Z came and did the Blueprint when he dropped the Blueprint. And, what a funny moment that he and I were just eating pizza together when he was just young.
Right.
And getting really, really started in the game. But for that Jay-Z event, we had to close the doors.
You did?
We had to limit how many people, because he actually was very popular at the time in the hip hop industry. And so those are just some of the nostalgic moments that I remember about growing up in the music business and growing up, particularly, in the hip hop world, because I was a teenager. I was a high school student at the time at Booker T. So, it was just one of those things that high school was great, working at DJs. I was always at the concerts all the time, always backstage.
You had the it job.
I did. I had the it job. And, one of those things about it kind of led me into a life of service, and here we are, full circle moment that I still enjoy serving the public and understanding what people want and need in the business space, because that's where I got my chops from.
Right. Now, the building blocks of knowing you now has really started to come into my nerdy brain now, because now I see just a commitment to learning the music, all types of genres, all types of groups of stuff from working there. Now for what you do now and how you help out, smaller businesses and entrepreneurs and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
That was like the building blocks. That was planting the seeds of what you do right now, which I think is really amazing, because a lot of people need that mentorship or just that expertise, because, people are going to you with like no experience. They don't just an idea. Just an idea, and you help them flourish that into something. So once we go on to that, like what was the transition from? I mean, I know you did a lot more stuff than just working DJs and also working Slover.
That's right.
But what was the next move from there?
So the next move, interestingly enough, working at DJs, I was going to school, going to the Norfolk State University at the time, and it was one of those things that I found myself wanting to do something different. And a young lady who used to come to DJs worked at Nations Bank down the street from me. And she was like, you have such good customer service. And she was the assistant manager. She said, I have a part-time teller position open. And, I kind of looked at Larry. He's like, go for it, and he actually supported me on my journey of becoming a bank teller. And I worked for then Nations Bank that then transitioned to Bank of America. And I worked there for almost 20 years. Again, still on the front face of serving the public.
Right.
And during the time, of course, still going to school kind of on and off. And, I was one of those adult learners. I didn't actually finish my degree until 20 years later because life happens.
True that.
Yep. And I ended up finishing Norfolk State in 2014. I got my bachelor's degree after 20 years of not going to school. So it's never too late. And I was working at then PRA Group once I finished my undergrad, and I loved it so much with teaching and training that I got my master's degree while I worked for PRA Group. And lo and behold, those two worlds have collided, banking and teaching and training. So I have a master's in adult education and training and my background in banking. And I see this position come up for the city to work in a public library that still is a building block, if you will, because I was able to create this role because I'm the first person to ever do this role at the Hendrix Business Center at the Slover and as the business development consultant. And the goal was to just connect entrepreneurs to the resources that we have in the city of Norfolk. But of course, me being me, I had to do a little bit more.
Of course, you had to do bigger than that. If anything I know about you, I know you're going to take it, flip it, remix it, and put it down.
Yeah, and that's what I've done. So I've been there since 2023 in August, and I sat and I looked at the balcony one day, and I said, man, we could have a nice networking event out there. And the person who was the marketer, he said, you could do some good business out there on that balcony. Hence, Business on the Balcony was born. So in May 2024, my wild idea, the director, they actually supported me in that. I said, I want to have a networking event, and I want to have a DJ, and I want to have some libations, a little light hors d'oeuvres. And they kind of looked at me and they're like, okay.
What in the club?
Right. You're spending money. We're not supposed to be spending money. You're just supposed to offer services. And lo and behold, the people came and they absolutely loved it. So over the course of the past year and a half, almost 2 years, I have scaled it up so that I don't spend the city's money anymore. I have community partners who are supporting me along the way. My biggest community partner is Pride Home Exteriors, CEO Julius Hayes. Shout out to Julius and Pride Home Exteriors, who came and he was like, wow, what are you doing here? And, is this something that I could be able to tap into? Real estate developer. And I said, I could be able to have classes with you because I do know how to write curriculum.
Right, you do.
And he says, because I can talk, but I don't know how to put it together. So we came up with a series called Building Blocks, which is a real estate development course that he spearheads. And now we're partners in this venture that he supports my Business on the Balcony and business networking events. And he has an audience for himself as well. So it's just really turned out to be a community partnership that is intentional, that I want to keep at the community level. Having sponsorships or having community partners are great when you want to scale, but I also want to keep it intentional so that it's always about the community, always about that person who is just starting out. Ideation to launch is my tagline. And I love the micropreneur and the solopreneur because those are the people who are the foundation of our community. They're the ones who keep the economy going when the big ones go out of business. It's always the mom and pops, as we like to call it in the industry, that keeps the economy going. And they want to know, how do I get started in the industry? How do I grow my business? So that's what we're doing over at the Hendrix Business Center is we're helping people and intentionally connecting those type of people so that they can be able to have business buddies and people that are intentional about helping each other grow in the business community.
I love that because one thing I know about the Hendrix Business Center, I've seen it because I've been to some of your events, by the way. The food is always amazing.
Yeah.
But I've been to some of your events and I actually can see the networking going on. And I know you encourage that. You create an atmosphere where that's appreciated.
Yes.
And it actually doesn't feel like a networking event because it's so relaxed and so fun and just just the view from the balcony and stuff like that. So as you continue that on, let's say I'm an entrepreneur and I'm just now getting started out. What are some benefits I would have to come to the Hendrix Center? What's something?
So some of the benefits are starting with the Hendrix Business Center. I'm able to, of course, help guide you through the paperwork. People get tied up with the paperwork and don't know where to begin. Right. A business plan. I can help you formulate a business plan. Help connect you to resources like learning QuickBooks 101, actually getting you accustomed to what those permits that are needed if you're opening up a restaurant, and basically being a conduit for the city so that you're able to know how to navigate it, but don't have to navigate it by yourself.
Right.
That's the goal. And being a guide on the side is so important to people to know that they have someone like me that they can call anytime, email anytime, or after I've met you, we can have virtual calls so that you're still connected because again, you still have to run your business if you're starting your business. So that's one of the goals for the Hendrix Business Center is again to be of service to people as much as they need at no cost. At no cost. These are your tax dollars at work for you. And most people just don't know about it. So the whole ideation is with me. The launch part is with the other services that the Slover offers. We offers setups such as this to be able to record your audio books, record your voiceovers for your podcast. We have a digital media studio. People use the Slover as a backdrop all the time to come take their headshots. We have a dedicated space, green screen, white backdrop and blue screen if you're into the botanical area because you can't use green.
Right.
And we also have a maker space that's located in the Selden. Most people think it's a part of the Selden, but it is a part of the Slover. And we have 4 Mac computers where you can use full Adobe with all the licensing images at no fee, laser engraver, 3D printer so that you can do your modeling for any of your products that you want to go to a manufacturer. We do the whole prototype, Cricut cut, learning how to heat press, and even learning how to sew. So there's so many things that the Slover has to offer you, as well as event space when you want to have your event. Hence the business on the balcony. So we have so much to offer for the entrepreneur. You just have to tap into us.
Right. When I first moved back here, I went to an event where it talked about how the 7 cities in general, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Head, all of them, is one of the most sought after areas and a good area for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
That was probably about 2 years. Is it still that way in 2026 now?
It's still that way. But one of the things that I encourage a lot of entrepreneurs to do is to network. Most people continue to work in silo. There are so many communities that have networking events. Some of them have networking groups that you actually can pay to play because you want to get a return on your investment. And there are groups like mine where you don't pay anything and you get those meaningful connections. Social media is great. It's a great thing. But I love having Tone's phone number and Tone answers my text message or call when he's available. That power of connection is still so vital when it comes to building a business anywhere, not just in the 7 cities, but anywhere.
You talked about the silent part. I think that comes from something I call like the fear of popping out because, you don't want to tell somebody. And I've been that way too. I did that when I moved here. You don't want to tell everybody your plans and then if it don't come out quite the way you think it is, you're going to feel kind of embarrassed and stuff like that for some people. But you create, and I'm not to say it because you sis, okay, but you create such an atmosphere where you feel comfortable to talk to you about, the things you got coming up, and feel
Absolutely.
confident that you're giving us the right advice. You don't have an interior motive or something like that.
And
And I just want to
that's
give
the
you
thing.
kudos for that.
Thank
That's
you so
something
much.
that
Thank
a
you.
lot of times we walk into this like, man,
Right.
I got this great business plan,
Mhm.
they're gonna try to steal it, but you create the atmosphere and people have spread your praises. Trust me, I've asked. There's people who sing your praises to other people about, working with you before and how they've been able to flourish from that, and they felt totally comfortable with
Because
talking to you.
it's, go back to my banking days,
Right.
as a banker. And that was one of the agendas that I pushed with my leaders, is that I used to work on a desk that was outside of and didn't have privacy.
Okay.
And
Okay.
one of
I
the
can picture
things
it.
that I continued to strive for was, no one wants to talk about their hopes and dreams so that everyone else hears it. And or if they have a logo that hasn't been trademarked, or an idea that they haven't had patented. And when you work with me, full NDA, because I am a city employee, and your integrity and my integrity are both on the line. Until you tell me that I'm able to share your information, that's exactly how I guard it. The same way that I used to treat people's financial information when I worked in banking. Because when it all said and done, I'm still Tonya Fentress.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
one of those things, not even pillow talk. My husband is a DJ.
Sure is.
And
One of the
it's
best in
one
the
of
area.
those-
Shout
one-
out to Will.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that people's ideas, before they come to fruition, are something that's very sacred to them. So they can expect that level of integrity from me always.
Always. Wow. I love that. And as we go on, before we get into the great events you got coming up, where can you be reached? Like, you're giving you're sparking probably someone seeing this and hearing this. They're like, I need to get down. You know what I'm saying? How can they get in contact with you?
Hey, we're on social media. I am the Slover Strategist on social media, or the Tonya Fentress on social media. I'm an open book, as a public servant. You have to be careful of how you
True that.
show yourself to the public. And I haven't dropped it like it's hot since the 90s. So I think
I
we're
was saying that
good.
with you and the hubby the other day. I don't. He dropped something for a second. I was like, oh, you dropped some Mary Jane. I thought for a minute you was about to take it back to Norfolk Live or something. I didn't know what was.
Hey, I love living in the era before social media. Hey, I still have fun, but again, it's one of those things. People who have known me since high school, I'm that same girl. I love to have fun. As a friend of mine said to me at an event, at an all-black event, she said, "Girl, you a whole vibe still." and I am.
Keyword being vibe once again.
Shout out to my high school classmate. It was just one of those things. I love to have fun, but also know that I've had this level of business personality of me all my life, because my great grandmother was one of the very first Blacks who had their beautician's license in the state of Virginia. Wow. My great grandmother's name was Ruth T. Valentine. She owned a beauty and barber college on Church Street called Vallis Beauty School. And I had the pleasure of knowing my great grandmother, who how many people, and I was able to see her always in action as the president emeritus of the Virginia State Beauticians. So I would travel with her on conferences and things such as that. So I've been public speaking since I was 5.
I can tell. You got a little bit of skill.
Yeah. So having a business acumen is something I grew up with. So it was one of those things that I've always wanted to emulate my great grandmother and make her proud. And her picture sits on my makeup station every day. And every time I have an event, we have a chat, if you will. We have a chat. So it's legacy.
Together.
It's definitely legacy.
And you're providing a great legacy with that. And I really can talk to you all day long, but I know Chill Will's gonna be like, hey, she got stuff to do. But you have some great things coming up.
I do.
And that's one of the purposes of having you here on the show, to talk about what you have coming up. What's coming up next?
So Business on the Balcony is my signature event, and it is Thursday, May the 7th. 2026 from 5:30 to 7 at the beautiful Slover in downtown Norfolk. People know I love to say that, because the Slover is such a beautiful building. It's a beautiful place to have an event. And I'm so excited that this is my 5th Business on the Balcony.
Come
so
on.
I'm super
Come on for the
excited
fifth one.
about that.
Come on.
Super excited about me even scaling a business in a business,
Right.
if you will. So I'm excited about that. We also have on the second Wednesdays of every month, we have a community partner who donates their time. Sometimes it's an attorney, sometimes it's a CPA, certified customer service advocates, financial advisors. I have just built a plethora of people who believe in what I do, and they come and share.
Wow.
And we're definitely always looking for those other community partners who are willing to share their expertise. I have the place, I have the platform. Why don't you come and meet with me to see if it aligns together? But Thursday, you can come meet me intentionally.
Yes.
And we scaled up so well, Tone, that we've been on the third floor for a long time. We're going upstairs to the
we moving on up like the Jefferson
floor.
We
are. My last one, my bureau manager came in and he says, wow, Tonya, you have outgrown this space. And that is such a great thing because it's people like you who show up for me.
Right.
So I really, really appreciate everybody who shows up because results do change conversations.
They
do change conversations.
And it's a pillar to your work. It's a great example of what you do, your personality, the event itself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to describe it to people. You know, I have some video, but if you had to talk to someone who's never been to Business on the Balcony before, what would you tell them?
I would say, and then I had to pick my phone up. It's an elevated, casual, after hours mixer, but still intentional for you to meet other business partners who are looking to partner or collaborate with one another. And that's the goal, is for you to meet someone. If you are that type of person who is an introvert, I even have speed networking cue cards available so you can spark conversation with people about what your business is and who your business serves. Bring your business cards, wear your logos. It's not a dressed up event. I always share with anybody that I counsel, if you don't have your logo, you don't believe in yourself first. Wear your logo wherever you go and always be ready to do your elevator pitch.
It's your brand.
Always. So that's what it is. We have a live DJ and we always partner with the Office of Diversity and Equity Inclusion. The city of Norfolk has a food training program, and I actually select someone who's a graduate of that food training program to provide them a platform as well. So Danielle Powell of Danny Did It will be my food vendor, and she is going to be preparing the fresh hors d'oeuvres and serving. And we'll also have, you have to be 21 and up because we will have a cash bar as well.
Great. So much information you got going on there. But, you know, sis, once again, I'm just a fan of what you do.
Thank you so much.
And it's just great. I'm just blessed to be back and be able to use my platform to can help out as much as I can with you, with Chill Will, whatever. And that's what it's for, seeing a sister to go up into something like this, to have an idea and to have people have your back like that, to have the city behind you like that. Not just us as the city, but also the city government to be behind you and stuff like that. That's amazing. And you're setting a standard that a lot of people are checking out and watching. They may not say anything to you, but they're seeing what you're doing and seeing how you're making this happen. You're creating a blueprint that a lot of us are going to be able to follow. And I just want to say thank you. Give you your flowers about that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So once again, tell everybody about this Thursday on the 7th, May the 7th.
Hey, this Thursday, Business on the Balcony at the beautiful Slover in downtown Norfolk, May the 7th, 2026. We will have DJ Chill Will on the ones and twos with the vibe, and my community partner, my business partner. I couldn't do it without him, Julius Hayes of Pride Home Exteriors. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the leadership of the Hendrix Business Center. Kayla Davis, she's my manager. Jeff Thord, he is the bureau manager, and Jennifer George, she's the director of the Slover, and the entire city of Norfolk Council, who always supports me. So you'll see some city council members there too.
You sure will. Tonya, thank you so much for coming by. So you thought I was going to talk about a Jay-Z story all the whole day, didn't you? Which is an amazing story, by the way. He shut down the whole thing. I was there. I tried to get in there. Couldn't get in. But thank you so much for coming by. And the door is wide open for you to come by again.
Thank you.
To talk about whatever else you have coming up. And any way we can help out with your brand and what's going on, please, you know, I got your back. Sis.
Thank you so much, Tone.
That's
and
what
thank
it
you
is.
to 100.5 The Vibe.
Hey, we create the vibe. That's what we do. Pull up on your main man, Tone Hollywood, Tonya Fentress, y'all. Yes!
Woo!
That's what I'm talking about.
So I'll be back one
You
day.
definitely be back.
I'll
But
be
I
back.
love that you're creative, because nothing hurts more than to see an entrepreneur that's got a good business plan,
Right.
that's got the people backing them, and they're not good at customer service, or they're not
Correct.
good at talking in rooms where they can
Mhm.
talk to people who can help grow their business. And it's like, sis,
It's-
bruh, this
it's
is
super
you got to get this.
important.
It's
I
important.
just told
You need
somebody
that.
that today. I
Really?
got this good idea that I said, come talk to me.
Yeah.
I said, because you just can't do it behind social media.
No, you can't. And that's not a knock on social media. 'Cause like you said, it's great. It's helped my career for wonders.
Absolutely.
But ultimately,
Mhm.
you got to get out there and shake hands. You
You
got to
do.
get boots on the ground. You got to get your feet out there and talk to people.
That you
And,
do.
and that's how it is. And there's gonna be some no's. There's gonna be some. There's gonna be some people that
Right.
understand what you're saying.
Hey, I've
but
had no's.
I can only imagine.
I've
can
had
only
no's,
imagine.
and they're like, no, not yet.
Right.
Tanya, you're a lot. You're doing too much.
Like, you know, say I won't expect all that.
Right.
But still, I mean, that's the only way you can make it happen.
It is.
Only way
Thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much.